Have you ever woken up in the morning, looked in the mirror, and just felt tired? Not just the kind of tired a cup of coffee fixes, but that deep, soul-level fatigue? Like your energy was gone before the day even began? If that rings true for you, I want you to know, you're not alone. Especially if you've been taking care of someone else, maybe a spouse, a sibling, or even an old friend, you might not even realize how much weight you're carrying. And that quiet exhaustion, the kind that sneaks up without warning, could be trying to tell you something. You see, caregiving is one of the most loving, generous things a person can do. But it can also become one of the most draining. What makes it tricky is that the burnout doesn't always look how we expect. It doesn't always show up as frustration or anger. Sometimes, it shows up as forgetting to eat lunch, again. Or snapping at the dog for barking. Or not recognizing yourself in the mirror anymore. Today, I want to have a gentle but important conversation with you, about caregiver burnout. Not in the loud, obvious ways you might imagine, but in the quiet, hidden signs that often go unnoticed, especially for those of us over 60. Our bodies change, our minds shift, and our emotional reserves aren't quite what they used to be. That's not weakness, it's just life. But that also means we need to listen to ourselves a little more carefully, with more compassion. So in this video, we're going to explore 4 hidden signs of caregiver burnout. Signs that might be whispering to you already, in the background of your busy days. We'll talk about how to spot them, how to respond to them, and most importantly, how to take better care of yourself, even while you're caring for someone else. And if you enjoy content like this, health, emotional wellness, and how to live meaningfully after 60, I would be so grateful if you gave this video a like, shared it with someone who might need it, and tapped that subscribe button. I'm working toward my first 1,000 subscribers, and every little action helps me reach more wonderful people like you. Thank you. Alright, let's start with something that might surprise you. The first hidden sign of caregiver burnout is something we often brush off as just getting older, but it's actually much more telling. It's emotional numbness. You stop feeling much of anything. Not sad, not happy. Just flat. You might go through your day on autopilot, making breakfast, taking medications, answering phone calls, but without any real feeling behind it. There's no joy in your morning coffee, no sadness in a good cry. Just nothing. That's your mind's way of protecting itself when it's overloaded. You've probably been so focused on someone else's needs, so hyper-aware of their moods, their meals, their medications, that your own emotional system just shuts down. It's like trying to drive a car on an empty tank. You keep going out of habit, but there's no fuel left. One woman I spoke to, her name was Marlene, had been taking care of her husband after his stroke for 2 years. She told me, "I used to cry at the news, at commercials even. Now, I feel like I could win the lottery or lose the house, and I'd react the same way. I'm just tired." That, my friend, is not something to ignore. It's your heart's way of asking for help. Now, you don't need to do something drastic right away. Just begin by noticing. Ask yourself, when was the last time I really felt something deeply? It's not about forcing feelings, it's about reconnecting with the part of you that feels alive. And that part still exists. It may just need some fresh air, a quiet moment, or a gentle nudge to come back to the surface. And that brings us to the second sign, something that's often mistaken for age-related forgetfulness, but isn't. It's brain fog. You find yourself rereading the same line in a book, or opening the fridge and forgetting what you needed. You might even miss appointments or feel confused during simple conversations. People might say, "Oh, you're just getting older," but I want to be clear with you, burnout can do this to you, too. When your body is under constant emotional stress, even low-level, daily stress, it affects your concentration. Your memory. Your ability to focus. Caregiving often requires you to juggle schedules, monitor medications, and make quick decisions. Over time, that mental load becomes like carrying around a heavy backpack every single day, and eventually, your brain gets tired of holding it all. There's no shame in this. None at all. It doesn't mean you're slipping. It means you're overloaded. One gentle step to help ease the fog is to create a simple ritual, just for you. It doesn't have to be fancy. Maybe a 10-minute quiet coffee by the window before anyone else wakes up. Or listening to soft music in the evening with your eyes closed. When your brain gets a chance to rest, truly rest, it starts to clear. Even just a little bit. And those little bits? They matter more than you think. I remember a gentleman named Harold who cared for his wife through early-stage Alzheimer's. He told me, I'd walk into the room to grab her medicine and come back with a sponge. I thought I was losing it. But once I gave myself permission to take 2 short breaks a day, just walks in the yard, I started thinking clearly again. Sometimes, it's that simple. Not easy, but simple. Now, I want you to take a moment. Breathe in. And ask yourself gently, am I showing signs of emotional numbness or mental fog? No judgment. Just awareness. That's how we begin to shift things. Not by force, but by noticing. Because the truth is, caregiving is a journey that asks so much of us. And it's okay to admit when it's asking too much. You're not failing. You're not weak. You're human. A beautifully caring, deeply committed human being who also needs care, love, and support. We've looked at 2 signs already, emotional numbness and brain fog, and there's still more to uncover. Sometimes the signs aren't in your thoughts or emotions, but in your body itself. A quiet ache, a restless night, a feeling that something just isn't right. Let's keep going and listen to what your body might be telling you next. Because the truth is, your body often knows before your mind catches on. And that brings us gently into another hidden sign of caregiver burnout, physical tension and chronic fatigue. I'm not just talking about the kind of tired you feel after a long day. I mean the kind of weariness that settles into your muscles and bones. It's that tightness in your shoulders that never quite goes away, the heaviness in your legs when you get up from your chair, or that constant low-level headache you chalk up to just needing more water. But deep down, you know it's more than that. It's your body waving a little red flag, saying, hey, I need a break, too. What's tricky is that after 60, we often expect our bodies to feel different than they did in our 30s or 40s. And sure, some of that is perfectly natural. But when every joint aches and you feel like you're dragging your body through the day, that's not just aging, that might be exhaustion, plain and simple. I once met a caregiver named Louis, 72 years old, who was supporting his adult daughter with chronic illness. He told me, I didn't even realize I was clenching my jaw until my dentist said I was grinding my teeth at night. Turns out, I was carrying tension in my body all day long, and didn't even notice. Sound familiar? Sometimes, we've been in survival mode for so long, we forget what it's like to feel at ease. Now, I'm not here to tell you to go join a yoga class, unless you want to, of course. But what I am inviting you to do is to check in with your body, just like you would with a dear friend. Pause for a few minutes today. Close your eyes. Take a slow breath in. Ask yourself, where am I holding tension? And then breathe out, just a little longer than you breathed in. That one small act, of noticing and breathing, can help soften the tightness, even just a little. And that softness adds up over time. You don't need an hour at the spa or a big vacation. Sometimes just soaking your feet in warm water while listening to your favorite old music can shift the entire tone of your day. That's not self-indulgence, that's self-preservation. Especially when you're giving so much of yourself to others. And now, let's look at a 4th sign. This one is perhaps the quietest of them all, but also one of the most important. It's something many caregivers over 60 carry in silence, a quiet sense of resentment or guilt. Maybe both. And if you've ever felt this, I want you to hear this next part with as much love and gentleness as I can offer. Sometimes, you might catch yourself thinking things like, I miss my freedom. I wish I could just go somewhere without planning everything. I feel trapped. And then, just as quickly, that voice in your head scolds you, how could you feel that way? You should be more grateful. They need you. You're being selfish. That back and forth, between longing and guilt, is more common than you think. And it's not a sign that you're a bad person. It's a sign that you're human. Caring for someone doesn't erase your own needs, and loving someone deeply doesn't mean you stop needing space, joy, or rest. But here's what can happen when those feelings get buried. They fester. They come out sideways, maybe as irritation toward the very person you're caring for, or as tears you don't quite understand, or even as a lingering sadness you can't shake. That emotional conflict is heavy. And you shouldn't have to carry it alone. So let me offer you something that's helped many others: permission. Permission to feel what you feel. Without shame. Without guilt. Just honesty. If you're grieving the life you used to have, that's okay. If you sometimes wish things were different, that's okay, too. You're allowed to miss your independence. You're allowed to feel tired. You're allowed to want a life that includes you in it, not just the person you're caring for. There's a woman in our community, Lillian, who once told me, I spent 3 years feeling guilty for resenting how my life had changed. Then one day, I said it out loud, to a friend. And I cried so hard, I think I cried out 3 years of silence. But afterward, I finally felt free enough to take a walk by myself without guilt. That walk changed everything. Just saying it out loud, this is hard, and I wish it were easier, can be a doorway into healing. You don't have to post it online or tell the whole world. But maybe today, you write it in a journal. Or whisper it during a quiet moment alone. Or share it with someone who understands. Let the truth exist somewhere outside your mind. Because truth sets us free, even the messy parts. And please remember, caregiving is not a solitary act. At least, it shouldn't be. Whether it's a weekly support group, a trusted neighbor, a friend who listens without judging, connection is what softens the weight you carry. Now, if this is resonating with you at all, I want you to place your hand over your heart for just a moment. Right now. Yes, just like that. Feel your own warmth. Feel your own presence. You're still here. And that presence deserves care, too. You've been giving so much to others. It's time to gently give something back to yourself. Even if it's just the gift of acknowledging what you're feeling. That small act is a radical form of love. As we keep going, I want to invite you to reflect on this. When was the last time you let yourself be supported? Not the one doing the supporting, but actually being held, listened to, seen. It's not too late. Not by a long shot. And no matter how long you've been in the role of caregiver, you're still allowed to need care yourself. Because here's the quiet truth, you matter. Not just the version of you who shows up for others, but the version of you that longs to laugh again, rest again, feel light again. Let's keep moving together, with kindness and honesty, as we gently bring these deeper truths into the light. Because when we allow ourselves to be honest, when we stop hiding how hard it really is, we create space for healing. For so many caregivers, especially after 60, that healing begins when we stop expecting ourselves to carry the entire world on our backs. But sometimes, even after we've acknowledged the emotional exhaustion, the physical tension, and that quiet whisper of resentment, there's still one more sign that often gets overlooked. A sign that wears a different face for everyone. And that's a loss of identity, the feeling that you've slowly become invisible, even to yourself. Maybe you've felt this too. You wake up in the morning, and before your feet even touch the ground, your mind is already running through the day's list. Medication schedules. Appointments. Meals. Cleaning. Calls. You do it because it needs to be done. But somewhere along the way, the you who used to enjoy gardening, or painting, or music, the you who used to laugh freely, sit with a book for hours, or call a friend just to chat, that version of you has gone quiet. You look in the mirror, and sometimes you think, when did I stop being me? Caregiving, while an incredible act of love, can slowly eclipse your sense of self. You begin to identify with only one role: helper, nurse, organizer, scheduler. And little by little, you start to forget that you were ever anything else. Not because you don't matter, but because you've been so focused on making sure everyone else is okay. But let me gently remind you, you are not just what you do for others. You are still your own person, worthy of joy, rest, creativity, and discovery, at any age. You haven't disappeared. You're still in there. Maybe quiet, maybe tired, but not lost. Maybe you just need a small doorway back to yourself. And those doorways don't have to be grand. You don't need to suddenly reclaim your entire schedule or quit caregiving to feel like yourself again. Maybe it's 10 minutes with a favorite song from your youth. Maybe it's watching birds from your window with a cup of tea. Maybe it's calling that friend you've been meaning to reconnect with and saying, "Hey, I just wanted to hear your voice." Or maybe it's something as simple as asking yourself, what used to bring me joy? And what tiny piece of that can I bring back today? You deserve moments that belong only to you. Not just the leftovers of the day, but time carved out with intention and love, because your life still matters. Your story is still unfolding. There's something incredibly beautiful that happens when someone in their 60s, 70s, or even 80s begins to reconnect with themselves after years of putting everyone else first. There's this sparkle that returns to their eyes, like light pouring back in. It's not about abandoning responsibilities. It's about honoring yourself while honoring those you care for. I met a man named Harold, 68, who had been caring for his wife for nearly a decade. For years, he gave everything: his time, his energy, his whole heart. But he told me one day, I started to forget who I was outside of being her caregiver. I didn't know what I even liked anymore. So he began small. Every Wednesday, he gave himself 1 hour to tinker with old radios, a hobby he'd loved as a boy. That 1 hour became sacred. He said it made him feel whole again, like he was a person again, not just a caregiver, but Harold. That's the power of small steps back toward yourself. And I want you to know, it's never too late. You are not too old to rediscover yourself. You are not too far gone. The spark inside you? It's still there. Waiting. All it needs is a little air and a little attention. So if you've been feeling like you've disappeared beneath all the roles you carry, I want you to take this moment to remember, you are more than your responsibilities. You are still an artist, a friend, a thinker, a dreamer, a soul full of life. You deserve to feel alive in your own skin. And here's the beautiful truth: when you take care of yourself, you don't take away from those you care for. You give more, from a place that's not running on fumes. You show up with more presence, more love, more clarity. Because you're not giving from emptiness, you're giving from a place that's been nourished. So let me ask you gently, right now, what would nourish you today? Not someday. Not when everything is done. But today. Maybe it's rest. Maybe it's sunlight on your face. Maybe it's forgiveness, for yourself. Maybe it's letting someone else help for once. Whatever it is, I invite you to choose it. Because when we notice the signs of burnout early, when we catch the fatigue, the resentment, the tension, the loss of self, we can start to shift. Not all at once, and not perfectly. But we can begin. With honesty. With kindness. And with deep respect for all we've been carrying. You've been strong for so long. Let your strength now include softness. Let it include care, for you, not just for others. And if you're feeling a little emotional right now, that's okay. That means your heart is awake. That means something inside you is saying, yes. I want more than just survival. I want peace. I want connection. I want to feel whole again. You deserve that. You always have. So as we wrap up, I'd love to know, have any of these signs shown up in your life? Have you ever felt like you were losing yourself in the midst of caring for someone else? I'd be so honored if you'd share your story in the comments. You never know who you might comfort by being honest. And if this video helped you feel a little more seen, a little more understood, would you mind giving it a like? Maybe even sharing it with someone who's quietly carrying more than they show? And if you'd like more gentle, encouraging conversations like this one, I'd love for you to subscribe. I'm on my journey to reaching 1,000 subscribers, and with your support, I can continue creating videos that nurture our hearts and minds, especially in this beautiful season of life after 60. You are not alone. You are deeply valuable. And you are worthy of rest, joy, and being held, too. Take care of your heart. Because you matter, more than you know.